So there are many types of barriers in communication, but these are some of the most common, the most obvious ones. For example, you have the physical barriers in the form of distance, in the form of actual physical environment where communication is taking place. Then you have psychological barriers such as selective perception, selective recall, selective retention. You also have linguistic or language barriers such as maybe poor wording of a message, poor translation from one language to another, or where individuals involved in communication speak different languages. The use of jargon such as subject-specific terms, all those contribute to the idea of language or linguistic barriers. You also have social cultural barriers such as how we behave in society. There are certain cultural practices that may serve as a barrier. For example, the dress code and even religion as well. And you also have social barriers such as interactions between men and women, interactions where there is an obvious power dynamic, or in an organization where there is a complex reporting structure. All those contribute to communication barriers. You also have technical barriers, which involve the use of technological equipment such as phones, laptops, and anything that is basically technology related. You also have a barrier which we call information overload, where receivers get more than they can process. Our brains can only process so much information at a time. So when you receive more than your brain can process, then that leads to information overload. There's also information distortion, where information does not come as intended, but it is distorted through the channel as it gets to the receiver. Sometimes the distortion will happen at the level of the sender, who may not package or encode information properly, such that the receiver misinterprets what the sender intended to convey. Now, it's also critical to be able to pinpoint where exactly these barriers occur in the communication process. So, for example, at the level of the sender, what kind of barriers do we see there? At the level of the receiver, what barriers are observable? And also the choice of channel. What sort of barriers are associated with a particular channel that the sender has chosen to convey their message? Once communicators are able to identify the specific areas where barriers are, it makes it easy to control, to reduce, or possibly eradicate the barriers so that communication becomes more efficient. When we talk about efficient communication, we are also tying it to the concept of effectiveness. When communication is effective, it means that the sender has achieved their objective in terms of the feedback that they receive from the receiver. So we measure effectiveness by the appropriateness of the response or the feedback that is given.